Christopher, I really enjoyed your recent think piece. You call them think pieces, actually, from Hallgarten Company. BRICS, the company one keeps. Can you tell me why you selected or decided to do an update on BRICS? What news story was the catalyst?
The summit that the five BRICS nations had in the last fortnight in Cape Town. I'm not sure if it was their second gathering, but it's only a concept that's appeared on the stage quite recently.
Now, some of the news stories about that particular summit are stating that they feel that the West really needs to pay attention, and BRICS is going to be a formidable competitor for the G7. What are your thoughts on that? And by the way, I cannot wait to hear your response on this.
Wow. Some of these countries are on the rise, some of them have risen, and some of them are falling. And definitely Russia is in free fall economically and diplomatically, and it's just persona non grata everywhere. South Africa does not have a great reputation economically, because ongoing power problems and other things. And strategically, it's a great mineral province, but not much else. And yet, countries like India are storming ahead. They're rising in the GDP world. So it's a very disparate group. And the G7 have a lot more commonality between them than these five countries do. These are just sort of cobbled together, in fact, because Goldman Sachs invented the concept of BRICS as a way to sell emerging market shares in the 1990s. You couldn't sell a Russian share these days. You can't even trade a Russian share anywhere except Moscow. So it's sort of like a strange concept that was invented for investors that has now been morphed into like a diplomatic sort of stick to beat the West with. And the West, frankly, is not feeling the blows from this development. It's just like a bit of a blunt instrument.
Well, you specifically write in your report, Goldman's brainchild disowned. Would you like to give us kind of
Goldman has
background on that?
They invented this to sell shares of Pemex, not Pemex, Telmex and Telegraph back in the 90s. They haven't even talked about it for ages now. And the actual strategist at Goldman said, this is not what we were talking about in the 1990s and why we invented this. And it's outdated. I mean, virtually, if you remember back to the time in the late 90s when this was invented, people said, what about Thailand? What about this one? And what about Indonesia? And what about that? Why were they left out of the BRICS? I mean, the BRICS, of course, was a pretty easy concept. You took four letters, you put them together, and you came up with something that's pronounceable. Once you throw all these other countries in, it's unpronounceable. And so, it's just a soundbite. And Goldman sort of like moved on. Everybody else moved on. Now people are sort of like grasping at it as something, as a concept that they can breathe life into as Chinese diplomats. And unfortunately, it's a bit like a balloon that's got a hole in it. It can blow as much as you like, but it's not going to inflate.
Well, I recommend everybody out there interested in finding out more. I certainly enjoyed this think piece. Christopher, thank you. Please go to the following website for Hallgarten Company. Thank you, Christopher.
Thank you.